The opinions and statements expressed in the following program do not necessarily reflect those of WWDB, its staff, or management.
It's time to turn the pages. It's time to type and write. It's time to get things started on the most booktational, inspirational Once Upon an Author show. Here's your host, Danielle M. Orsino. Yay!
Choose your destiny. Flawless victory. Choose your destiny.
Martial arts is the art of self-discipline as much as the art of self-defense. Train the body and the mind follows. Kato, the Green Hornet. Now, if you don't know who Kato is, he was played by Bruce Lee. Some call him the sidekick to the Green Hornet, but in my opinion, he was the real hero. Now, when I watched The Green Hornet, I had no idea Kato was the Bruce Lee. Personally, I just thought he was pretty cool, He never needed a utility belt. He got to drive the car. I didn't know I was seeing somebody who would become a huge influence on what would become a big influence in my life. So it was an influence of an influence of an influence. So goes my life. But anyway, welcome back to another Once Upon an Author. Today we're going to explore something a little bit different, but it does tie into writing and it does tie into the series, and it is all about a story behind a story. Trust me on that. This is all about my first class and my journey into martial arts. It found me. I did not go seeking it out because of my crazy obsession with superheroes. It was nothing like that. But it would later pretty much become a hallmark in my writing style, my fight scenes. I never planned it. Like I said, I didn't go looking for it. It found me. So, once upon a time back in 1990, about 1994, 95-ish. Yeah, about 1995. My dad made me a bet that had to do with a belt. There you go. I really wanted to go to New Orleans with my friend Jen. I became obsessed with the whole Anne Rice Interview with a Vampire. We read all the books, forward, backwards, 10 times over. And at the time, they were doing tours. So you could kind of see all the haunts and everything like that. My friend Jen and I totally wanted to go immerse ourselves in the world of Anne Rice. She used to have these big vampire balls, all that stuff. Now, we couldn't afford that. The balls were really, really expensive. But we could go down to New Orleans for a couple days. I was never allowed on spring break, wasn't allowed to go on trips or anything like that. So at 18 years old, I convinced, well, I shouldn't say convinced. I got up the courage to ask my dad to go. Now, as I said, Jen was my best friend since 6th grade. So when I say we got ourselves into some mischief, we got ourselves into some mischief. I'll tell you about breaking into Splashdown another time and, all that good stuff. But I asked him. The bet he made with me was I could go if I earned my yellow belt in Taekwondo. He picked this because at the gym I was going to, he knew the instructor, Mr. McLaughlin. My brother had tried a couple classes and my dad used to go to the gym. So he knew basically what a hard guy Mr. McLaughlin was, and he figured there was no way I was going to get my yellow belt. So he was like, yeah, sure. You get your yellow belt. I will let you go to New Orleans with Jen. Okay. I said yes. I'm like, yeah, sure. It's easy. No problem. Went to Jen and I was like, look, here's the deal. And she was like, yeah, I'll take a class with you. Okay, sure. So I will admit, I was a bit of a handful. A bit of a handful. If you can picture this, my instructor had a full head of dark hair. When I left, he was fully gray. I did everything wrong that you could possibly imagine. I insulted the entire martial art community in a matter of minutes walking in. The class was held in the multi-purpose room, like the aerobics room at Gold's Gym. I walked in wearing a crop top, white sweatpants, chewing gum, full face of makeup, because, you go to the gym in a full face of makeup. Of course, at 18, 19 years old, that's what you do. And I did not wait at the end of the line with the white belts because there were like two kids in the class. And when I mean kids, I mean not young, young little kids. I walked in front of everyone and stood with the black belts. So, everybody out there who is a martial artist, I'm sure you're cringing right now. With my hand on my hip, popping gum, waited. Tapping my foot, of course, because, I just needed to get class going. And waited. Now, everybody took a giant step away from me because they knew when Mr. McLaughlin got in there what was going to happen to me. So, as I sat there or stood there waiting, they were all at attention. I mean, ramrod straight, feet together, hands at your side, waiting. And so this about 40-year-old, I think McLaughlin was about 40 at the time or just turning 40. No, he was just turning 40. He wasn't 40 yet because on his 40th birthday, I may have stuffed Depends in his locker, which is a whole other story. And I got my butt kicked for that, but we'll save that for another day. He walked in and saw me. I also made the rookie mistake of calling Mr. McLaughlin John. Once again, in the martial art community, you never call the instructor by their first name. It is always a title, whether it's Sabanim, Sensei, Sigong, Sifu, whatever. Or it's just Mr. or Ms., Mrs., whatever. He walked up and I was like, yo, you John? And once again, everybody took a bigger step away from me. Now, Jen was with me for all of 5 minutes, and then she was like, I'm bored, and walked out. She wanted nothing to do with it. She came to a class once or twice and was just bored with the whole thing. Popping gum again. I was like, yeah, I'm here for like the karate class or whatever. He laughed. And I should have known by the maniacal laugh I was in trouble. And he was like, well, first of all, it's Taekwondo, and this is Korean. I was like, yeah, whatever. Karate, Taekwondo, like it's all the same. I got to laugh again. And he was like, and you are? And I was like, I'm Danielle. I'm here for the class. Okay. Yep. Just like that. Didn't care. And he was like, you're supposed to be standing at the end. And I was like, there are kids there. I'm the adult. Yeah. It wasn't going well for me. He then asked me if I could do a push-up. And I smiled, and this was my mistake. Yeah, and I don't do girly push-ups on my knees. He laughed, and he went, oh, good. Come with me. He took me in the back of the room. And like I said, we were in a multi-purpose, like aerobics room, so it was hardwood floor. He told me to show him. And I did one push-up. And he said, great, can you do it on your knuckles? Did it. And he's like, awesome, hold it. I'll be right back. And I looked at him, I said, what? He's like, hold the push-up. Just stay in a push-up position. Arms locked. Stay there. And something came over me. The way he was looking at me, it was like, I think he's serious. So I held the position. And he just watched me. And as I started to get a little tired, I started dropping. He went, no, no, no. Don't drop it. Nope, nope. Stay there. And my arms started to wobble. And then he got down face level with me. And he was like, hold the position and don't ever call me John. Got up and he walked away and he started class. And now I was a little scared and I'm holding the position and I don't know why I'm holding it. I just know something's up. He comes back and now I'm sweating. And he's like, you had enough yet? And I'm like, And he's like, this is what you're going to do. You're going to go in, you're going to wash all that makeup off your face, you're going to spit the gum out. You're going to go put on a t-shirt that covers your stomach. And you're going to come back when you're ready to learn Taekwondo. Do we understand each other? And I'm kind of looking at him and I go, yes, sensei. He goes, oh, no, 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 Korean. It's Mr. McLaughlin. And I'm like, yes. And he's like, sir. You answer, sir. Yes, sir. I go out, I do what he says, and he's shocked I came back. When I was standing at the door waiting for him to let me in, because I went to go take a step in, and he just shook his head. And everybody looked at me like, no, 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 don't step on the floor. Don't do it. And I waited, and he was shocked. And I walked back in, and he was like, oh, you came back. Give me 25 push-ups, because now I'm considered late. I do my push-ups. I'm at about 15 push-ups, and he gets down and he goes, you will either be my greatest accomplishment or one of us is leaving here in a body bag, and I guarantee it's not me. And now I'm scared. I stand up, makeup's off the face, I'm in a full shirt. And he's kind of impressed that I made it this far. And I can't tell you why I'm still there. I think it was more stubbornness than anything else. And in that class, in the next 40 minutes, I learn a down block, a front stance, a stretch kick, and my first front kick. And I'm not half bad. I'm no Bruce Lee, but I actually have balance. I have some coordination. I learned some basic punches. And he looks at me and he's like, you've got heart. And I returned the following class, which was a Thursday. I come back Saturday, and I continued. I'm not bad. Like, I'm halfway decent at this, and I'm picking it up kind of quick. Once again, I am not great, but I'm better than I ever thought I would be at this. The big deal was that I could rely on myself. This was not a team sport. You don't play martial arts. You can play football, and I love me some football, but it's just you, and you have to do it. You can't half do this. And as I'm doing it, I realize I like this. And he sees something in me. I only paid for 1 month in 8 years. That first month. It was the last time I ever paid. He never charged me again. I don't think he ever thought I would make it a week. And when I made it a month, that was it. Never charged me. I think I paid a couple testing fees in the time I was there. He never charged me. I just paid like my dues to my organization. If I needed equipment, he got it for me. And he became probably one of the most influential people in my life. Like I said, I gave the man gray hair. I annoyed the crap out of him. I probably was single-handedly one of his most difficult students at times. And he would always say, I will take a student with heart over natural talent. And I was that student with heart. The first time I competed, he just signed me up for a tournament and dropped me off and was like, hey, we're going to compete. That was it. After that, he never went to another tournament. He came once a year to one tournament. Out of 500 tournaments, I think the man went to 4. He just thought I had something and believed in me, which was wonderful. It was great. I loved it. He saw something. And it was the first time somebody saw something in me that was not provoked by anything else. It was something I never saw in myself. I never thought I was a fighter. I never thought I could do martial arts, nothing like that. Now, it did bring me closer to being the superheroes that I adored. Yeah, now I was Wonder Woman. I was doing blocks just like she did with her bracelets, and this was so cool. And I was amazed by all of this. And years later, did I think I would wind up in the Hall of Fame competing for Team USA? All of these things. No. Never. It was awesome. But from that first class, if you could have seen that 19-year-old girl standing there, calling him John, doing everything wrong, to now, to what it's become in my life, never. Did I think it would transfer into writing? No way. Never. And now it's become such an influence in my writing. And it's changed so many things that it influences almost everything I do. It's disciplined me. But from a writing perspective, it's given me such a different point of view. And it's changed how I do things. But We're going to get into that next. But before we do, for anybody out there who is a writer or is already an author, wants to write, listen to this next word from our sponsor, because I think there's somebody that can help you out, especially if you have a social media account and you're really overwhelmed by it. Check out this author service because they help me out and I think they can help you out as well. So listen up, take down the information because I think that they'll really help you out.
Are you feeling overwhelmed by the indie publishing process? On the Page Author Services is here to help you. From editing and social media management to marketing and advertising and building your newsletter, we handle all the details so you can get back to what you love, writing. Whether you're an established author in need of personal assistant services or just starting out, we've got the expertise to guide you. Simplify your author journey with On the Page Author Services, where your success is our passion. Visit otpauthorservices.com today and book your free consultation.
Okay, so I just explained how I pretty much blew up my first class, but it led me to being a Hall of Fame martial artist, being on Team USA, carrying a silver medal, things I never thought I would do. I got to work with The Rock because of being in martial arts, which was absolutely amazing. And yes, I'm going to talk all about that when we get closer to New Year's Eve, because I actually worked with him on New Year's Eve years ago. And he is just as nice as you can possibly imagine. But at the time, I had no idea he was going to be the end-all, be-all, The Rock. So we're going to get into that at another time. But how all this transferred into my writing kind of caught even me by surprise. When I started writing, I didn't know that I was going to put fight scenes into it. Like, I didn't set out being like, oh, I'm going to make these great fight scenes. I knew I wasn't going to do sweeping battle scenes because I don't ride horses. I don't shoot bow and arrows. That's not what I do. And the weapons that I did, I never did nunchucks. I could pass them through my legs, but that's it. After that, they were hitting me in the head. I don't do a bow staff because I look ridiculous with one. And once again, Mr. McLaughlin only let me use it a couple times. And then he discovered how dyslexic I was even directionally when I smacked him a few times when he was teaching it to me. So the bow staff got taken away from me real quick. I did sais. I've done a lot of bladed weapons, broadsword, katana. I've done dual fans, but that's about it. From a writing perspective, I didn't know how that would work until I had my first fight scene that I had to write. And I was having a hard time. I was trying to figure out, how am I going to do this? So what I hate in superhero movies is when all you see is a cape and a fist flying around. Look, I love Christopher Nolan, but when you go back to the first couple Batmans, all it is his ears and a fist. It's like, you can't see what Christian Bale is doing. Granted, the bat suit was very, very cumbersome, but I hated that. I want to see it. So I knew I wasn't going to write big battle scenes. It was always going to be something that my readers could be in the middle of. So I took my iPhone out, set it up, and I acted out every fight scene, just like I would a form. And I took it from different perspectives. I would do it from the attackers and then the victims. And that's how I figured out my fight scenes. I used my martial art experience to see where the body would go, exactly what works, and then write it from that perspective. Is it more interesting from the victims? Is it more interesting from the attackers? How do I write a jump spinning back kick, especially to somebody who doesn't know what a jump spinning back kick is? You know, how do I write a crossing elbow? And how do I put a spin on it that makes it still fantastical, but not too fantastical that they're like flying in the air and we've got like, you know, an anime thing going on where they're kicking 10 people before they put their leg down. I wanted it to be based somewhat in realism. And yes, there are times where my puppies have been involved because, you know, I needed like maybe 3 people. I don't do more than 4 in my attack scenes because then it gets too crazy. My husband has been a stand-in before. We have choreographed different fan films, Wonder Woman, Balance of Power, things like that have been at Comic Cons. So we do have fight choreography backgrounds. But doing a dragon is a totally different circumstance. And when I get to Fire, Ice, Acid, I will tell you how many dragon figurines I had to buy to figure that out. But what I've done is I've always videotaped them and then played them back on my phone and watched them over and over. And if it doesn't look right, I go back and do it again, each taking it from a different victim's perspective or the attacker's. Same thing when I do weapons. Always, always, always videotape them. And there are a lot of bloopers. I've landed on my butt more than once. I have learned what kicks look good cinematically, but you cannot explain them. It doesn't matter how great of a writer you are. It just doesn't work. From page to video, it won't work. The words just, you can't. So that's how martial arts has helped so much. You get such an understanding of the body. So if you are a writer or you want to write and you want to do good fight scenes, I would suggest taking a class or going and watching a martial art class and seeing how the body moves. Because you want to see if you punch, if you jab, it's not going to have the same effect as a cross. It's not going to have the same effect as a hook on the body. You want to know these things. And that has helped me knowing these body dynamics. So if you're somebody who wants to write, especially fight scenes, doesn't matter if it's fantasy, Western, sci-fi, this does really, really help. And it helps with weapons and sword play. I have a scene in Forgive Us where there's a sword fight with broadswords. And it took me forever to write because I was trying to figure out if the person jumps back and slits the throat. Do I want to do a right to left cut? And does that look better from one angle or the other? And it was a long time of just figuring out because you want to give your reader that feeling that they're right there. It's kind of that theater of the mind. I don't want anybody to ever read the book and go, I have no idea where the body is. That's so unreal because it takes them out of it and they don't care about the next scene. And martial arts has helped so much. Even reading comic books has helped. Because remember, they have to take a whole fight scene and put it into a couple linear panels and convey that. That's a lot to do. So even if you're maybe not into going to a martial art class, look at a really good, like Spawn. Todd McFarlane does a really good job. And actually, Keanu Reeves' Berserker does a good job with that stuff too. Mike Lilly does a great job with Wolverine when he's done Wolverine, and even some Nightwing stuff that he's done. Really good job with body dynamics. Check out some of the really great comic books that are battle and more Batman because he does so much hand-to-hand combat. You'd be impressed with what you can learn from that. So I would suggest if you're looking to do that, check that out because writing is not different than any other discipline. You still have to do your research and figure it out. So I would say just check and research. You're still looking to do a craft. You want to hone it and get it right. In my instance, I took what I knew from martial arts and flipped it around and brought it into this world. But I also knew my limitations. Like I said, I don't ride horses. I've ridden horses 3 times in my life. I'm not going to do a big battle scene all on horses and do all that stuff. I don't shoot a bow and arrow. So you're not really going to get that. I have a couple people, who've done it in the book. And I did go out and shoot a bow and arrow once or twice, but it's not my thing. So it's not something that my fae regularly use. I do what I know. And I've researched what I know. And I know the feel I want. So I try to do that and give that to my readers as best I can. So if you know what you want, make sure you're researching it. And videotape is your friend. You will find new ways to write things and you'll find out what doesn't work and what does not translate in writing, which is really, really important because what you know, you're visualizing it a lot of times in your head. So the little nuances are already visualized in your head. You're forgetting to write those pieces down. And sometimes if you write those little pieces down, it becomes such a bigger thing that you lose people. So you really want to be able to kind of edit yourself and find out what's working. But before we close everything out and end the chapter on this episode, I want to kind of take it back for a second. We've done a lot of technical talk on writing. But the heart of this was I discovered a skill and a talent I had no idea I had. None at all. Like I said, I did not set out to find martial arts. It found me. And I'm very grateful it did. So have you ever discovered a skill that kind of changed the way you saw yourself? Or maybe a different approach to your passion? It's very funny when we look at what we know about ourselves. You know, we tend to put ourselves in a box. Have you ever gone outside of the box and tried something new and discovered something about yourself? Martial arts gave me strength. I'm little. I'm 5'1", 5'2" on a really good day when I stand up straight. So to have that behind me gave me a voice. Martial arts was a big deal for me. I did walk a little taller. So is there anything that you maybe have always wanted to try? Do you want to look at maybe those things a little differently now and take that little leap of faith and take that jump? Maybe it's singing, maybe it's a pottery class, maybe it is martial arts. And there are so many different kinds out there. You don't have to just go karate, Shotokan, Kung Fu, Taekwondo. There's all different ones. There's Bagua. There's these different Wushu. There's all these different things out there. Even Tai Chi to work on your balance or something like that. Just take a leap, because you'll never know what your superpower is. I didn't know mine was martial arts. I had no idea. But you want to figure it out before it's too late. And if you don't take that jump, you won't know. If I didn't walk in that class, annoy the heck out of Mr. McLaughlin, I would not have what I have today. And I truly believe in that. If you have any questions about martial arts, about writing your fight scenes, you can always reach out to me on Instagram at dm Orsino, Orsino, author. That's on Instagram. You can DM me, ask me some questions. I'd love to hear from you. If there's a topic maybe you want to hear discussed on this, please ask me. You can check out the books. They are all on Audible, Birth of the Fae series, books 1 through 6. They are also on Kindle. The 2 books, which are still in the top new releases. We can all scream about that later. Birth of the Fae, Locked Out of Heaven, and Birth of the Fae, Thine Eyes of Mercy, books 1 and 2 are on Kindle right now on Amazon. They are only available on Kindle right now on Amazon, but Locked Out of Heaven is available everywhere on paperback. You can check those out. And tune in next week. We will have another news story for Once Upon an Author. And you can always check the versions on my YouTube channel, where I will be doing a little After Dark version with all of your questions. So definitely write in to the Instagram channel and ask me whatever you want. DM Orsino Author. And I will see you guys next week for an all-new version of Once Upon an Author. Thank you so much and have a great week, guys.